first proceeding must have been to gag Mr. Blessington. Having secured Blessington, it is evident to me that a consultation of some sort was held, probably in the nature of a judicial proceeding. It must have lasted for some time, for it was then that the cigars were smoked. It was there that the older man sat, in the wicker chair. It was he who used the cigar holder. The younger man sat there. He knocked his ash off against the chest of drawers. The unknown fellow paced up and down. Blessington, I think, sat upright in the bed, but of that I cannot be absolutely certain. It ended, of course, by them taking Blessington. You know, this matter was so prearranged that it is my belief that they brought with them some sort of block or pulley to serve as a gallows. Oh, yes, a gallows, Inspector. This was a revenge ritual.
What an extraordinary story. But what proof?
I'll have it before the day's out.
You haven't explained about the screws and the screwdriver.
Oh, that was to fix up the block or pulley. But when they saw the chandelier hook, they naturally saved themselves the trouble. Now, Inspector, I suggest that you immediately make inquiries about the page and arrest him.
Certainly, Mr. Holmes.
I will be back here a little before 3 o'clock. Good day, Chief.
I dare say Mrs. Hudson will be a little put out when she sees all this. What are you looking for?
Worthington. W. Worthington. March. 1880, I'm sure.
March 80. January. February. March. Any good?
Watson.
Blessington.
Or Sutton, as he was known then. Mrs. Hudson.
Your little boat is coming along beautifully, Doctor.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Hudson. I must run.
Oh, thank you.
Dr. Trevelyan, any news, Inspector?
Yes, sir, we've got the page, drinking his earnings 2 streets away.
And I've got the men.
You've got them?
Or at least I've got that identity.
The Worthington Bank gang?
Precisely.
Well, then Blessington must have been Sutton.
Exactly.
Well, that makes it clear as crystal.
Not to me, I'm afraid.
Dr. Watson, would you...
You may have heard of the great Worthington Bank affair. There were 5 men in it. The 3 who were in this room, a 4th named Cartwright, and Blessington.
It's a hanging job now.
Only if someone squeals.
That's him.
Are you positive?
Oh, yes. That's him.
Satan! Satan, you're dead! Satan! Satan! Satan, you're dead! Satan!
Don't worry, Mr. Sutton.
Satan!
It's a hanging job now.
Satan! You here?
Sutton, or Blessington, who was the worst of the gang, turned informer. On his evidence, Cartwright was hanged, and the other 3 got 15 years apiece.
Biddle, Haywood, and Moffat were released from prison just a few weeks ago, which was several years before their full term. It was news of their release which caused Blessington to panic and have this house secured.
So it was not the fear of burglary that had frightened him.
No. That was a mere blind.
And so setting me up in practice was an elaborate charade to protect himself. Well, why could he not tell you this?
He was trying to hide his own identity from everybody for as long as he could.
His secret was shameful, and he couldn't bring himself to divulge it.
However, wretch as he was, he was still living under the shield of British law. And I have no doubt, Inspector, that we shall see that though that shield may fail to guard, the sword of justice is still there to avenge.
In spite of the efforts of Sherlock Holmes, the 3 murderers of Blessington eluded the police and fled the country aboard a ship bound for Portugal. It was a few weeks later that we learned that the ship, the Nora Craner, had sunk with all hands upon the Portuguese coast, some leagues to the north of Oporto.
Holmes!
What's wrong?
Well, it's just that I was going to spend the day writing the case of Dr. Trevelyan while the facts are still fresh.
Oh, and you mean... Oh, I understand.
Thanks awfully. It's just that it is difficult to concentrate otherwise.
What will you entitle this particular account?
I didn't know you were interested in my writing.
I am always interested in your choice of titles.
Well, I thought I'd call it the Brook Street Mystery. No?
Well, I myself would prefer The Resident Patient. But please do not let me influence you. Brook Street Mystery. No doubt would suffice.